Who unalived Brenda Powell? That was the question gripping Akron, Ohio in early March of 2020. A respected hospital worker, a devoted mother, found dying inside her own home. At first, police believed they were chasing a shadow, a stranger, an intruder, someone who came in from the outside. But the truth was far more unsettling, because the person responsible had never left the house at all. Brenda Powell was known to nearly everyone who crossed her path as warm, patient, and deeply caring. She had spent decades working as a child life specialist at Akron Children's Hospital, helping young patients cope with fear, illness, and trauma. Co-workers described her as gentle but firm, the kind of person who always showed up when someone needed help. At home, she was a mother who had poured her life into her daughter, Sydney Powell. Sydney was 19 years old at the time. From the outside, her life looked promising. She was a college student, intelligent, and supported by a mother who believed fiercely in her future. But behind closed doors, things were not as perfect as they seemed. Pressure was building, secrets were stacking up, and the relationship between mother and daughter was quietly fracturing. On the afternoon of March 4, 2020, Brenda was at home in Akron. Earlier that day, she had been on the phone with officials connected to her daughter's university. During that call, she learned something that shocked her. Sydney had been suspended from school due to academic struggles. It was information Brenda did not know before that moment. More importantly, it was information Sydney had intentionally kept from her. What happened next would only be pieced together later, through evidence, timelines, and the cracks in a story that did not hold. Shortly after that phone call, emergency services received a call reporting a violent incident inside the Powell home. When officers arrived, they found Brenda suffering from severe injuries. She was still alive, but barely. She was rushed to the hospital, where doctors fought to save her life. Despite their efforts, Brenda Powell later passed away. Inside the home, police encountered Sydney. She appeared shaken. She told officers something alarming. She said that someone had broken into the house. An unknown intruder, she claimed. A stranger who attacked her mother and then fled. At first glance, the scene seemed to support that version of events. There was a broken window. Items appeared disturbed. It looked like a struggle had taken place. In the earliest news reports, the story was framed as a possible home invasion turned deadly. A hardworking mother, killed by someone who should never have been there. But detectives are trained to look past first impressions. As investigators began walking through the house again and again, questions started forming. The broken window did not tell a clear story. The damage looked staged rather than forced. Nothing of value was missing. No neighbors reported seeing anyone enter or leave. No unknown vehicle was spotted nearby. And most importantly, the timeline did not make sense. Police began focusing on the only other person in the house at the time, Sydney. When detectives questioned her further, inconsistencies appeared. Details shifted. Small things changed each time she spoke. Her explanation of where she was and what she was doing did not align with the physical evidence. Investigators also learned about the phone call earlier that day, the one where Brenda discovered the truth about Sydney's suspension. That discovery became a turning point. According to prosecutors, the confrontation that followed was intense. Brenda confronted her daughter about the suspension and the deception. What began as an argument escalated into violence. The state would later argue that the attack was fueled by panic, anger, and the fear of consequences finally catching up. As forensic evidence came back, the intruder theory collapsed completely. There were no signs of another person's presence. No unidentified DNA. No credible trail leading outside the family. Instead, everything pointed inward, toward the person who had been standing next to Brenda when help was called. Sydney Powell was arrested and charged with murder, felonious assault, and tampering with evidence. The news stunned the community. How could a daughter do this to her own mother? How could a young woman from a seemingly normal home be responsible for such violence? Those questions followed the case as it moved toward trial. In court, the prosecution laid out a methodical narrative. They argued that